Every time you react, you are handing your power to someone else on a silver platter. Think about the last time you lost your cool. Think about the moment your heart rate spiked, your throat tightened, and words flew out of your mouth before your brain had a chance to audit them. Who was in control in that moment? Was it you? Or was it the person who provoked you? The truth is brutal, but you need to hear it. If someone can make you angry, they own you. If a rude comment, a traffic jam, or a disrespectful email can ruin your morning, you are not the master of your own life. You are a puppet, and the world is pulling your strings. Welcome to the art of not reacting, how silence becomes power. Most people live their entire lives in a state of constant, exhausting reflex. They are like flailing wires in a storm, whipped around by every gust of wind. They mistake this volatility for passion. They mistake their quick temper for strength. They tell themselves, "I'm just honest," or "I don't let people walk all over me." But deep down, in the quiet moments after the adrenaline fades, they feel the hollowness of regret. They know that they lost. True power is not about who shouts the loudest. It is not about having the last word. True power is the ability to sit in a room full of chaos and remain absolutely still. It is the ability to look a manipulator in the eye and give them nothing. No anger, no fear, no validation. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding the energy of others. You force them to sit in the awkwardness of their own behavior. You become a mirror, not a sponge. This audiobook is not about becoming passive. It is not about becoming a doormat or suppressing your emotions until you explode. Quite the opposite. We are going to deconstruct the very mechanism of your emotional triggers. We are going to rewire the way your brain processes disrespect, stress, and conflict. Over the course of the next 10 chapters, we will move through a transformation. We will start by analyzing the cost of your reactions, the opportunities lost, the relationships damaged, and the personal authority squandered. We will then move into the biology of control, giving you the tools to hack your own nervous system when the fight or flight instinct kicks in. Finally, we will hand you the weapons of the silent warrior, strategic pauses, the gray rock method, and the internal fortress that no external force can breach. This journey requires courage. It requires you to kill the part of your ego that needs to be right so that you can birth the part of your soul that is free. You are going to learn that silence is not empty. It is full of answers. You are going to learn that not reacting is the ultimate act of rebellion in a world that demands your attention. By the end of this audiobook, you will no longer be a leaf blowing in the wind. You will be the mountain. The storms will rage, the critics will scream, and the world will spin, but you will remain unshaken. Before we begin this descent into mastery, I have a small request. If you are ready to take back control of your mind, and if you want to support this channel in bringing you more high-value, life-changing content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the premier audiobooks. Your support helps us reach more people who are ready to wake up. Now, take a deep breath. Clear your mind.
Chapter 1. The Currency of Reaction. What is the price of your peace of mind? If I asked you to open your wallet and hand a stranger $100 simply because they looked at you the wrong way, you would think I was insane. You guard your money. You work hard for it. You understand its value, and you are careful about where you spend it. You wouldn't throw gold coins into the mud just because you felt a sudden urge to do so. Yet every single day, you do exactly this with something far more valuable than money. You give away your energy. You hand over your personal power. You bankrupt your emotional authority one reaction at a time. This is the fundamental truth you must accept before we can build anything together. Reaction is a transaction. Every time you snap at a coworker, every time you seethe with rage in traffic, Every time you let a passive-aggressive comment ruin your dinner, you are paying a cost. You are spending a finite resource. You are taking the raw fuel you could have used to build your empire, fix your body, or sharpen your mind, and you are burning it on a bonfire of irrelevance. We live in an economy of attention and emotion. In this economy, you are either a master investor or you are a reckless gambler. Most people are gamblers. They walk through life with their emotional pockets turned inside out, begging the world to take everything they have. They are desperate to feel something, anything, even if that feeling is frustration or offense. They are addicted to the transaction. But the wealthy, the emotionally wealthy, the spiritually wealthy, they are stingy. They do not spend their reaction on cheap provocations. They understand that their attention is the most expensive currency in the room, and they refuse to lower the market value of their soul by engaging with things that are beneath them. This chapter is about auditing your accounts. It is about realizing that for years, you have been overpaying for things that are worthless. It is about stopping the hemorrhage of your power so that you can finally begin to accumulate it.
The high cost of volatility. Let's look at the mechanics of a reaction. When you react, you are essentially confirming that the external world has more authority over your internal state than you do. A reaction is a confirmation of submission. If a man insults you and you immediately explode, you have just told him, "Your opinion is true enough to hurt me." You have validated his frame. You have accepted his premise. By fighting back instantly, you are not displaying dominance, you are displaying dependence. You depend on his approval to feel good, and consequently, you depend on his disapproval to feel bad. You are tethered to him. Consider the most powerful people you have ever encountered. Not the loud ones, not the ones beating their chests. I mean the ones who truly commanded a room, the ones whose presence felt heavy, like gravity. Did they jump at every noise? Did they argue with fools? Did they defend themselves against every petty accusation? No. They were likely quiet. They moved slowly. They spoke less than everyone else. If something went wrong, they didn't scream. They assessed. Their lack of reaction was not weakness. It was a terrifying display of strength. It signaled that their internal reality was so solid, so fortified, that the chaos of the outside world could not scratch the paint. Now, consider the person at the bottom of the dominance hierarchy. They are twitchy. They are loud. They are constantly scanning the room for threats. They take everything personally. If someone whispers, they assume it's about them. If the weather changes, their mood is ruined. They are a leaf in a hurricane, completely at the mercy of their environment. When you react, you align yourself with the twitchy, the nervous, and the weak. You signal to the world that you are unstable. And in business, in relationships, and in life, instability is repulsive. People do not trust the man who loses his temper over a spilled coffee. They do not follow the woman who falls apart because of a rude email. They might fear the outburst, yes, but they do not respect the source. Respect is earned by the man who can hold a storm inside his chest and not let a single drop of rain escape through his eyes or his mouth.
The illusion of the last word. Why do we do it? If reaction is so costly, why is it our default setting? It is because of the ego's desperate need for the last word. The ego believes that if it doesn't fight back, it dies. It believes that silence is submission. It convinces you that if you don't correct that person, if you don't defend your honor, if you don't set the record straight, you are being defeated. This is the great lie. The last word is a trap. It is a fool's trophy. In the heat of an argument, when emotions are high and logic is low, the person who insists on having the last word is usually the one who has lost control. They are flailing. They are trying to force a conclusion that the other person will never accept. Real power is not about having the last word, it is about ending the conversation. When you choose not to react, you end the game. You step off the chessboard. You deny the other person the satisfaction of a return volley. There is nothing more infuriating to a manipulator or an aggressor than a target that does not register the hit. It breaks their rhythm. It forces them to sit in the silence you have created, a silence that amplifies their own foolishness. By refusing to pay the currency of reaction, you make the other person's actions irrelevant. You render their insults inert. You are saying, without speaking, this cannot afford my attention. Reaction versus response. We must make a critical distinction here. This audiobook is not teaching you to be a statue. It is not teaching you to be a doormat. It allows the world to walk over them without consequence. There is a massive difference between reacting and responding. A reaction is immediate. It is unconscious. It is a reflex. It is the knee jerking when the doctor hits it with a hammer. It bypasses the logic center of your brain and goes straight to the primal emotional core. It is fast, messy, and usually regrettable. Reaction is a survival mechanism designed for the jungle, not the boardroom. A response, on the other hand, is delayed. It is conscious. It is calculated. A response passes through the filter of your intelligence. It considers the long-term outcome. It asks, does engaging in this battle move me closer to my goals, or does it distract me from them? Reaction is, you insulted me, so I will scream at you. Response is, you insulted me, and I see that you are trying to bait me. I will note this disrespect. I will adjust the level of access you have to me, and I will continue with my day. Reaction is weak. Response is powerful. The shift from reactor to responder is the shift from child to adult. A child cries when the ice cream falls. An adult buys another ice cream or realizes it's not a big deal. The events are the same. The internal processing is different. When you master the art of not reacting, you are essentially buying yourself time. You are widening the gap between the stimulus and your action. In that gap lies your freedom. In that gap lies your dignity.
The audit of energy. Let's get practical. I want you to think about your energy levels right now. Do you feel drained? Do you feel scattered? Do you feel like you are constantly running on a treadmill, sweating and panting, but getting nowhere? This fatigue is not just physical, it is emotional exhaustion caused by micro-leakages of power. Every time you scroll through social media and get annoyed by a stranger's political opinion, you leak power. Every time you replay an argument in the shower, inventing witty comebacks for a conversation that happened 3 years ago, you leak power. Every time you seek validation from people who do not care about you, you leak power. You are bleeding out. You are suffering from death by 1,000 cuts. Imagine if you plugged all those leaks. Imagine if you reclaimed every ounce of that energy. What could you build? If you took the rage you felt in traffic and poured it into your workout, who would you be? If you took the frustration you felt from a rejection and channeled it into learning a new skill, what would you master? If you took the anxiety you felt about the future and focused in on executing the task in front of you, how successful would you be? The currency of reaction is the capital you need to build your dream life. But you are spending it on nonsense. You are buying tickets to a circus that you don't even enjoy. You must become a miser with your emotions. You must become greedy with your peace. When a situation arises that demands a reaction, you must look at it like a business deal and ask, is the return on investment worth the cost? If arguing with a drunk person at a bar has a high cost, danger, legal trouble, wasted time, and zero return on investment, you won't change his mind, you gain nothing, then the deal is bad. You walk away. You don't walk away because you are afraid. You walk away because you are too smart to take a bad deal. This is the mindset of the sovereign. The sovereign does not engage in petty skirmishes. The sovereign saves their ammunition for the war that matters. There is a concept in physics. Nature abhors a vacuum. It rushes to fill empty space. The same is true in human psychology, but with a twist. When you do not react, you create a vacuum. You create a void in the conversation. You create an empty space where your validation, your anger, or your defense should be. Most people cannot handle this vacuum. They rush to fill it. If you stay silent when someone expects you to yell, they will often keep talking. They will start to justify themselves. They will stumble. They will reveal more than they intended. They will project their own insecurities into the space you left open. By simply refusing to pay the currency of reaction, you force the other person to show their hand. You become the observer, and they become the observed. This is how silence becomes power. It turns the dynamic around. The person demanding your attention is suddenly working for it, and you are the judge sitting silently on the bench, deciding whether or not to grant it. It is an amusing thing to watch. You will see people unravel simply because you refused to pick up the rope they threw at you. You will see that your lack of reaction acts as a mirror, reflecting their ugliness back at them. They wanted a fight. You gave them a void. And in that void, they have to face themselves. The path forward. So, how do we stop? How do we stop the bloodletting of our own authority? It begins with a decision to stop being cheap, a decision to raise your price. You must decide today, right now, that your peace is too expensive for the world to afford. You must decide that you are no longer in the business of trading your sanity for temporary relief. This does not mean you will never feel anger again. You will. You're human. The goal is not to eliminate the emotion. The goal is to eliminate the reflex. The goal is to feel the fire, but refuse to let it burn the house down. In the coming chapters, we are going to dissect the machinery of this process. We are going to look at the biology of why you get triggered. We are going to give you the tactical tools to create that pause. We are going to teach you how to handle the silence. But everything rests on this first principle. Reaction is a currency. Stop throwing it away. Stop making million-dollar payments for 10-cent problems. Stop letting the world reach into your pocket and take what it wants. Zip up the wallet. Close the vault. From this moment forward, if someone wants a reaction from you, they're going to have to work for it. And even then, they probably can't afford it. You are building a fortress. And the first brick in that fortress is the realization that you, and only you, hold the keys to the treasury. As you move through your day tomorrow, catch yourself. Catch yourself reaching for the wallet of anger. Catch yourself about to spend your peace on a rude cashier or a dismissive partner. Catch yourself and stop. Ask yourself, can I afford this? The answer is almost always no. Save your currency. You're going to need it for the climb. Chapter 2. The Physiology of Chaos. You know the feeling. It starts in the pit of your stomach, a sudden drop, like an elevator moving too fast. Then the heat rises. It crawls up your neck, flushing your skin. Your heart, which was beating quietly just seconds ago, begins to hammer against your ribs like a prisoner trying to break out of a cell. Your hands clench, your jaw tightens until your teeth ache. Your vision narrows, the edges of the room blurring, until the only thing you can see is the threat in front of you. In this moment, your IQ drops by 20 points. Your ability to reason evaporates. Your vocabulary shrinks. You are no longer a sophisticated, modern human being living in a civilized society. You are an animal backed into a corner, baring its fangs, ready to tear flesh. This is the physiology of chaos. It is not a character flaw. It is not a moral failing. It is a biological program, a program written millions of years ago, designed for a world that no longer exists. To master the art of not reacting, you must stop treating your emotions like ghosts or spirits. They are not abstract concepts. They are chemical events. They are electrical signals. You are operating a machine, a biological suit of armor that has a glitch in its operating system. Chapter 1 was about the economics of your power. Chapter 2 is about the mechanics of your machine. You cannot fix an engine if you don't know how it works. You cannot override a system if you don't know where the off switch is. Let's lift the hood and look at the engine of your rage.
The ancient hardware in a modern world. Your brain is a marvel of evolution, but it is also a relic. It was built for the savannah, not the skyscraper. Deep inside your skull, buried beneath the layers of logic and language, sits the amygdala. This is an almond-shaped cluster of nuclei that acts as your brain's smoke detector. Its job is simple. Scan the environment for threats. Is that a predator? Is that a fire? Is that a rival tribesman raising a spear? When the amygdala perceives a threat, it does not hold a meeting. It does not consult the logical part of your brain. It slams the panic button. In a fraction of a second, it floods your system with a cocktail of high-grade stimulants, adrenaline and cortisol. This is the fight-or-flight response. Your blood is shunted away from your digestive system and your internal organs and pumped into your major muscle groups. Your blood sugar spikes to give you instant energy. Your pupils dilate to take in more light. You are primed to either kill a tiger or run faster than you have ever run in your life. This mechanism kept your ancestors alive. It is the reason you are here today. But here is the problem. The amygdala is not smart. It is fast, but it is stupid. It cannot tell the difference between a physical threat to your life and a psychological threat to your ego. To your amygdala, a saber-toothed tiger and a rude email from your boss look exactly the same. When someone cuts you off in traffic, your life is rarely in actual danger, but your amygdala sees a threat to your territory. It screams, "Attack!" It dumps adrenaline into your blood. You grip the steering wheel. You scream. You want to ram the other car. Why? Because your biology thinks you are fighting for survival. This is the great tragedy of modern life. We are walking around with prehistoric hardware, trying to navigate a digital world. We are triggering life and death survival mechanisms over parking spots, dirty dishes, and political tweets. We are constantly overdosing on stress hormones because our internal alarm system is broken. You are living in a state of chronic biological emergency. And when you are in a state of emergency, you cannot think. You can only react. The prefrontal cortex, the CEO on vacation. The amygdala is the panicked security guard. The prefrontal cortex is the CEO. The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain located right behind your forehead. This is the seat of your humanity. It handles logic, reasoning, impulse control, empathy, and long-term planning. It is the part of you that knows that screaming at a police officer is a bad idea. It is the part of you that decides to save money instead of spending it. It is the adult in the room. Under normal conditions, the prefrontal cortex keeps the amygdala in check. It says, "Relax, it's just a loud noise, not a bomb." It regulates your emotions. But here is the terrifying part of the physiology. The connection between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex is like a seesaw. When one goes up, the other goes down. When the amygdala is fully activated, when that fight or flight chemical dump happens, the prefrontal cortex goes offline, literally. Blood flow is reduced to the thinking part of your brain. The CEO leaves the building. The security guard is now flying the plane. This is why, in the heat of an argument, you say things you don't mean. You literally cannot access the information that would stop you. The neural pathways to your wisdom are blocked. You are operating on pure, unadulterated instinct. Have you ever looked back on a reaction and thought, "What was I thinking? I didn't even recognize myself." You weren't thinking. That's the point. You were biologically incapacitated. You were temporarily lobotomized by your own hormones. Understanding this is the first step to freedom. When you feel that heat rising, when you feel the chest tighten, you must realize, my CEO is about to leave. I am about to lose my intelligence.
The addiction to chaos. It gets worse. We don't just suffer from these reactions, we crave them. We like to think of ourselves as peace-loving, rational people, but the body tells a different story. Anger is a stimulant. Outrage is a drug. When you get angry, when you feel self-righteous, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is the pleasure chemical. It's the same chemical released when you gamble, when you eat sugar, or when you take cocaine. Feeling right feels good. Telling someone off feels exhilarating. There is a rush of power that comes with the explosion. For a brief moment, you feel strong. You feel justified. You feel superior. This creates an addiction loop. You start subconsciously looking for things to be upset about. You scroll through the news looking for the headline that makes your blood boil. You interpret innocent comments as insults so that you can get your fix of adrenaline and dopamine. You become an outrage junkie. You know these people. They are never happy unless they are fighting a battle. They seem to attract conflict. Drama follows them like a shadow. They claim they hate the drama. They claim they just want peace, but their physiology betrays them. They are addicted to the chaos. They need the chemical spike to feel alive. If you are brutally honest with yourself, you might find that you are one of them. Do you feel a weird sense of disappointment when a conflict is resolved too easily? Do you find yourself poking the bear, prolonging an argument just to get that last hit of intensity? This is your biology working against you. Your body has become dependent on the stress response. You have conditioned yourself to function only at high voltage. Silence feels boring. Peace feels empty. So, you create noise to fill the void. Breaking this addiction is painful. It requires a detox. You have to be willing to feel the withdrawal symptoms of boredom. You have to be willing to sit in a room where nothing is happening and be okay with it.
The somatic marker, your early warning system. So how do we intervene? If the prefrontal cortex goes offline when we need it most, how do we stay in control? We have to catch the reaction before it reaches the point of no return. We have to catch it while the spark is still a spark, before it becomes a forest fire. The body always knows before the mind. Long before your brain formulates a sentence to scream at your spouse, your body has already shifted gears.
The physiological changes happen milliseconds before the conscious thought. This is your early warning system. I want you to identify your somatic marker. This is the specific physical sensation that signals the amygdala has been triggered. It is unique to you. For some, it is a tightening of the solar plexus. For others, it is a heat in the ears. For some, it is a clenching of the jaw or a tapping of the foot. For others, it is a sudden dryness in the mouth or a holding of the breath. What is yours? Think back to the last time you lost control. Replay the tape in slow motion. What was the very first thing your body did? Did you lean forward? Did your voice drop an octave? Did you stop blinking? This physical sensation is the most important piece of data you possess. It is the ringing of the bell. It is the check engine light flashing red on the dashboard. Most people ignore the light. They drive the car until the engine explodes. The master notices the light. When you feel that specific tightening in your chest, you must train yourself to interpret it not as a call to battle, but as a signal to pause. That sensation is not a command to speak, it is a command to shut up. It means the chemical dump has begun. It means your blood is changing composition. It means you are entering the danger zone. If you can recognize the somatic marker, you can intervene. You can say to yourself, I am physically compromised right now. I am under the influence of cortisol. Anything I do or say in the next 10 minutes will be a mistake.
The modern weaponization of biology. We cannot discuss the physiology of reaction without discussing the environment we live in. We are not just fighting our own biology, we are fighting a world that is engineered to exploit it. Modern media, social networks, and 24-hour news cycles are weaponized psychology. They are designed by experts who understand your amygdala better than you do. They know that safety doesn't sell, peace doesn't go viral, nuance doesn't get clicks. Fear sells, anger travels faster than any other emotion. The algorithms are programmed to show you content that triggers your threat response. They show you the most extreme version of the other side. They show you violence, injustice, and stupidity because they know it will bypass your logic and hit your panic button. They are hacking your hardware. They are artificially stimulating your fight-or-flight response to keep you engaged, to keep you scrolling, to keep you watching. Every notification on your phone is a microdose of anxiety. Every breaking news banner is a simulated predator. You are living in a digital zoo where the keepers are constantly poking you with sticks to see you jump. And you are jumping all day long. This constant state of low-level physiological arousal is destroying you. It is keeping your cortisol levels permanently elevated. High cortisol kills brain cells. It weakens the immune system. It increases belly fat. It destroys sleep. It leads to anxiety and depression. Your inability to not react is literally making you sick. It is aging you. It is shrinking your brain. To reclaim your power, you must treat your attention like a fortress. You must limit the inputs. You cannot let the algorithm dictate your blood pressure.
The override switch is where we re-engage the conscious mind, but there is a need to wrest control of the body. We have diagnosed the problem. We understand the machine. We see the trap. Now, how do we override it? The answer lies in the one system that bridges the conscious and the unconscious, the breath. This sounds like a cliché. Just breathe. It sounds too simple to be true, but biologically, it is the only manual override switch you have. Your breathing is the only autonomic function, like heart rate or digestion, that you can also control consciously. You can't tell your heart to slow down directly. You can't tell your adrenal glands to stop pumping. But you can tell your lungs to slow down.
And here is the biological hack. The state of your breath dictates the state of your nervous system. When you are in fight or flight, your breathing becomes shallow, rapid, and located in the upper chest. This signals the brain to keep panic levels high. However, if you force your breathing to become slow, deep, and rhythmic, specifically extending the exhale, you send a reverse signal to the brain. You stimulate the vagus nerve. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. You are physically forcing the CEO to come back to the office. By slowing your breath, you tell the amygdala, false alarm, there is no tiger, we are safe. The chemicals begin to dissipate. The fog clears. The prefrontal cortex comes back online. Your IQ returns. This is why the pause, which we will discuss in depth in the next chapter, is non-negotiable. You cannot think your way out of a chemical hijack. You have to breathe your way out of it.
The transformation of perspective. Once you understand the physiology of chaos, your perspective on conflict changes. When someone screams at you, you don't see a powerful enemy. You see a human being whose amygdala is malfunctioning. You see a person who is chemically drunk on cortisol. You see a machine that is overheated. It is hard to take an insult personally when you realize the person delivering it is essentially having a biological seizure. You stop judging them as evil and start seeing them as compromised. And more importantly, you stop joining them in that state. Why would you want to lower your own IQ just because someone else has lowered theirs? Why would you want to flood your body with stress hormones just because someone else is stressed? It becomes a matter of hygiene. Reacting is dirty. It feels gross. It leaves a residue. When you maintain your physiological cool, you are preserving your biological integrity. You are keeping your machine running at peak performance while everyone else is blowing a gasket. The challenge. Here is your task for the next 24 hours. I want you to become a biologist of your own behavior. I want you to observe your machine. Don't try to change anything yet. Just watch. Watch what happens to your pulse when you read a text message that annoys you. Watch what happens to your stomach when you think about a difficult conversation. Watch the craving to snap back and recognize it as a dopamine pursuit. Label it. Say to yourself, this is adrenaline. This is the amygdala. This is the machine revving up. By naming it, you separate yourself from it. You are no longer the reaction. You are the witness to the reaction. This separation is the crack in the prison wall. It is the beginning of the end for your slavery to impulse. The chaos is biological, but the order is spiritual. The order is a choice. You are not your instincts. You are not your hormones. You are the pilot of the plane, and it is time to turn off the autopilot and take the controls. The storm is inside you, but you are not the storm. You are the sky.
Chapter 3. The Gap Between Worlds. There is a moment. It is microscopic. It is faster than a heartbeat. It is lighter than a breath. But in that moment, your entire destiny is decided. It is the split second immediately after the match is struck, but before the fuse catches fire. Someone insults you. The email lands in your inbox. The car swerves into your lane. The glass shatters on the floor. The event has happened. The stimulus is real, but the reaction has not yet occurred. You are standing on a precipice. You are suspended in the void. Most people do not even know this moment exists. They sleepwalk right through it. They merge the stimulus and the response into one single fluid motion.
To them, he hit me, and I hit him back, are the same event. They are chained together by the laws of physics, cause and effect. But they are wrong. You are not a billiard ball. You are not a domino. You are a conscious being. And between the cause and the effect, there is a gap. This gap is the most valuable real estate in the universe. It is the only place where you are truly free. This chapter is about inhabiting that gap. It is about finding that tiny sliver of time, grabbing it with both hands and prying it open until it becomes a sanctuary. We're going to learn how to live in the space between what happens to you and what you do about it. The philosophy of the space. The Austrian psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, Viktor Frankl, discovered this truth in the most hellish conditions imaginable. Stripped of his freedom, his dignity, and his family, facing starvation and torture, he realized that the Nazi guards could control everything about his environment. They could control his body, they could control his food, they could control his pain, but they could not control his mind's reaction to it. Frankl famously said, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." This is the core philosophy of the non-reactive life. The stimulus is the world happening to you. It is the economy crashing. It is your spouse yelling. It is the rain on your wedding day. You have zero control over the stimulus. The stimulus is fate. The response is what you do. It is your action. It is your behavior. This is where your karma is generated. This is where your future is built. The space is the bridge. If you cross that bridge unconsciously, you are a slave to the stimulus. The world pushes, you move. The world pulls, you yield. You are a puppet. But if you stop on that bridge, if you widen that space, you become a sovereign. This sounds philosophical, but it is deeply practical. The difference between a murder charge and a deep breath is often just 1 second. The difference between a divorce and a productive conversation is often just the ability to pause for 3 heartbeats. The difference between a destroyed reputation and a display of supreme confidence is the ability to stand in the gap. The discomfort of the pause. Why is it so hard? Why do we rush to close the gap? Because the gap is uncomfortable. When something negative happens, an insult, a threat, a shock, it creates immediate tension in the body. We call this cognitive dissonance or physiological arousal. It feels like a stretched rubber band. The human instinct is to relieve that tension as quickly as possible. We want to snap the rubber band back. If someone yells at you, the tension in the room spikes. If you yell back immediately, the tension is released, explosively. It feels like a resolution. It feels like you did something. To stand in the gap means to hold the tension. It means to let the rubber band stay stretched without snapping it. It means sitting with the discomfort of the insult without doing anything to fix it, deny it, or return it. This requires immense strength. It takes more courage to remain silent in the face of accusation than it does to scream your innocence. The weak man rushes to explain himself because he cannot bear the tension of being misunderstood. The strong man allows himself to be misunderstood because he knows the truth and he can tolerate the gap. You must learn to make friends with this discomfort. You must learn to feel the adrenaline hitting your veins, as we discussed in Chapter 2, and simply watch it without acting on it. You are holding the door open. The wind is blowing, the rain is coming in, and every instinct in your body is screaming, "Slam the door." But you hold it, you wait, you assess. The door, but you hold it, you wait, You assess. The 3-second rule. Let's move from philosophy to tactics. How do we actually widen the gap when the heat is on? The most effective tool is the simplest, the 3-second rule. Neuroscience tells us that the initial chemical surge of the amygdala lasts roughly 90 seconds, but the peak intensity, the moment of pure boyingness, is often much shorter. If you can survive the first 3 seconds after a trigger without acting, your chances of regaining control skyrocket. When the trigger hits, your internal script usually screams, "Say it, do it, now." You must override this with a new script. 1, 2, 3. This is not about counting sheep. This is a tactical countdown. During these 3 seconds, you are not trying to solve the problem. You are not trying to come up with a witty comeback. You are doing only one thing: delaying. You are buying time for the prefrontal cortex to reboot. Imagine you are a bomb disposal technician. The timer is ticking. You don't cut the red wire immediately just because you're scared. You stop. You look. You breathe. In practical terms, this looks like taking a slow, audible inhale through your nose, taking a literal step backward, taking a sip of water, looking away from the person's eyes and focusing on an object in the room for a moment. These micro-actions are physical manifestations of the gap. They break the hypnotic trance of the confrontation. If you are on the phone, put it on mute for 3 seconds. If you are typing an email, take your hands off the keyboard and place them on your lap. 3 seconds. That is the price of your freedom. If you cannot afford 3 seconds, you cannot afford to be successful. The fly-on-the-wall technique. Once you have bought yourself those 3 seconds, what do you do with them? You shift your perspective. When we react, we are trapped in the first-person perspective. We are the main character. He hurt me. This is happening to me. I am angry. The camera is tight on your face. Everything is subjective and emotional. To widen the gap, you must shift to the third-person perspective. This is called dissociation. Imagine you are a fly on the wall looking down at the scene. You see 2 people. One of them is you, the other is the aggressor. From the ceiling, the scene looks different. You don't feel the heat, you just see the mechanics. You see a person, the aggressor, waving their arms and making noise. You see another person, you, standing still. From this vantage point, you can ask objective questions. Why is this person shouting? What outcome do they want? What is the most strategic move for the person standing still? This mental shift detaches your ego from the equation. When you look at yourself from the outside, you stop taking things personally. You start treating the situation like a game of chess. In the gap, you are no longer the victim, you are the player.
The power of, let me think about that. In verbal confrontations, we often feel pressured to respond instantly. The silence feels heavy, and we rush to fill it with yes, no, or an explanation. The master of the gap uses a specific phrase to pause time. Let me think about that. This phrase is a power move. Your boss demands you work late on a project that isn't yours. Reaction: I can't, that's not fair, I have plans. Defensive, weak. Gap response: pause. Let me think about that and check my schedule. I'll get back to you in 10 minutes. Your partner accuses you of something unfair. Reaction: I didn't do that, you always do this. Escalation. Gap response: pause. I need to process what you just said before I respond. Give me a moment. By stating that you are thinking, you are seizing control of the timeline. You are telling the other person, I operate on my own clock, not yours. You are rejecting their urgency. Manipulators and aggressors thrive on urgency. They want to rush you because they know you make bad decisions when you are rushed. When you say, I need some time to consider this, you deflate their pressure balloon. You drag the interaction into the gap where you have the advantage.
The digital gap, the 24-hour rule. The digital world is the enemy of the gap. Texting, instant messaging, and email are designed for speed. They encourage rapid-fire, low-quality communication. How many careers have been ruined by a tweet sent at 2 a.m.? How many relationships have been destroyed by a text sent in a moment of jealousy? In the digital realm, the gap does not exist naturally. You have to manufacture it artificially. This brings us to the 24-hour rule. For any high-stakes communication, anything involving conflict, negotiation, anger, or heavy emotion, you never, ever hit send in the same session that you wrote the message. Write the email. Pour your rage into it. Use all the curse words. Destroy them with your logic. Then save it to drafts. Close the laptop. Walk away. Wait 24 hours. When you come back the next day, after a night of sleep and a decrease in cortisol, read the draft. I guarantee you, 100% of the time, you will look at that draft and think, "Thank God I didn't send that." You will see the emotion dripping off the words. You will see how weak and reactionary it sounds. You will delete it, and you will write a new response that is cool, concise, and professional. Or you will realize it doesn't even deserve a response. The send button is the guillotine. Once it drops, you cannot take it back. The 24-hour gap is your safety lock.
Reframing. Changing the story. Inside the gap, you have the power to change the narrative. When an event happens, your brain instantly assigns a meaning to it. Stimulus. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Default meaning. He disrespects me. He is an idiot. He is trying to kill me. Result. Rage. But in the gap, you can choose a different meaning. New meaning. He is probably rushing to the hospital. He didn't even see me. It has nothing to do with me. Result. Indifference. You literally rewrite reality. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about recognizing that you don't know the truth, so you might as well choose the interpretation that empowers you. Why choose the interpretation that makes you a victim? Why choose the story that makes you angry? If a colleague ignores you in the hallway, you can decide they are arrogant. Or you can decide they are distracted and fighting their own battles. One story drains you. The other costs you nothing. In the gap, you are the author. You get to write the caption for the photo. The hot coal. The Buddha famously compared holding on to anger to grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Let's modernize this. Imagine someone throws a hot coal at you. The reactor catches it. They grab the burning coal, scream in pain, and try to throw it back, but their hand is already burned. The damage is done. The master of the gap sees the coal coming and steps aside. They watch the coal sail past them and land harmlessly on the ground. They don't catch it. They don't engage with it. The gap is that sidestep. You do not have to catch everything that is thrown at you. You do not have to accept every invitation to argue. You do not have to answer every question. Just because the phone rings doesn't mean you have to answer it. Just because someone asks, "What do you think?" doesn't mean you have to have an opinion. The gap gives you the option of 0. Conclusion. The kingdom of the pause. As you practice this, the gap will widen. At first, it will be a struggle. You will catch yourself only after you have reacted. That is okay. That is part of the process. Then you will catch yourself during the reaction. You will stop mid-sentence. Eventually, you will catch yourself before the reaction. And one day, you will find that the gap is no longer a tiny sliver of time. It is a vast, open plain. Someone will insult you, and you will feel nothing. You will feel a profound stillness. You will look at them with curiosity, not anger. You will have all the time in the world to decide what to do. In that silence, you are untouchable. The world spins fast. It wants you to spin with it. It wants to drag you into the centrifugal force of its chaos. The gap is the eye of the storm. Step into the gap. Stay there. It is the only place where you can hear yourself think. It is the only place where you can hear the truth. And from this place of stillness, we can move to the next level of power. We can move from simply holding the silence to weaponizing it.
Chapter 4. The loudest sound in the room. Walk into a room full of nervous people, and what do you hear? Noise. You hear chatter. You hear rapid-fire questions. You hear laughter that is a little too loud, a little too frequent. You hear people interrupting each other, desperate to be heard, desperate to validate their existence, desperate to fill the terrifying void of empty space. Now look for the most powerful person in that room. They are rarely the one holding court. They are rarely the one shouting orders. They're the one sitting back. They're the one watching. They're the one who speaks only when necessary, and when they do, the room goes quiet to listen. Their silence is not empty. It is heavy. It has gravity. It pulls the energy of the room toward it like a black hole. In the previous chapter, we talked about the gap, the defensive pause that saves you from reacting. In this chapter, we go on the offensive. We are going to take that silence and sharpen it into a blade. We are going to discuss how to use silence to intimidate, to negotiate, to reveal the truth, and to dominate a hierarchy without raising your voice. You have been taught that communication is about words. You have been taught that to win an argument, you must have the best points. You have been taught that to lead, you must give speeches. This is a lie. The most effective form of communication is the absence of words. Silence is the loudest sound in the room, and it is time you learned how to speak it. The fear of the void. To understand why silence is a weapon, you must understand why people fear it. Human beings are social animals. For thousands of years, our survival depended on being part of the tribe. Silence, in a primitive context, signaled danger. It meant you were being shunned. It meant a predator was nearby. It meant the connection was broken. Today, that primal fear manifests as social awkwardness. When a conversation hits a lull, most people feel a spike of anxiety. Their heart rate goes up. They feel a desperate compulsion to bridge the gap. They start babbling about the weather, the news, anything to prove that we are still okay. I am still interesting. You still like me. This need to fill the silence is a display of insecurity. It signals that you are uncomfortable with yourself. It signals that you need the external validation of constant feedback to feel safe. The person who is comfortable in silence signals the opposite. They signal, I am safe. I am complete. I do not need to perform for you. I am comfortable with myself, and if you are uncomfortable, that is your problem. This is a high-status signal. In any interaction, the person who is most comfortable with silence is the person with the most power. Let's look at how this plays out in the boardroom, or in any high-stakes negotiation. In the business world, there is a concept known as the pregnant pause. It is a deliberate silence used to induce pressure. Imagine you are negotiating a salary. You state your number. I am looking for $150,000. The employer looks at you and says nothing. They just wait. 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds. The silence stretches.
It starts to feel physical. It feels like a weight on your chest. If you are an amateur, you will crack. You will assume their silence is a rejection. You will start negotiating against yourself. You will say, I'm flexible, of course. I could do 140. You just lost $10,000 because you couldn't keep your mouth shut for 6 seconds. The employer didn't have to argue with you. They didn't have to counteroffer. They just had to let you drown in your own awkwardness. Now flip the script. Imagine you are the one using the silence. Someone makes you a lowball offer. You don't get angry. You don't scream, "That's an insult." You simply look at them, keep a neutral face, and say nothing. You let the offer hang in the air. You let it rot there. The other person will feel the pressure. They will start to wonder if they have offended you. They will wonder if you were about to walk away. They will start to fill the silence with justifications, or better yet, improvements to the offer. Well, we could probably look at the bonus structure. You won, and you won without saying a word. Silence creates a vacuum, and the laws of human nature dictate that people will rush to fill a vacuum. Usually, they fill it with the truth or with concessions.
Police interrogators, therapists, and skilled journalists all know this secret. If you want someone to tell you the truth, don't ask them a question. Wait. Ask an open-ended question, let them answer, and when they stop talking, don't speak. Maintain eye contact. Nod slightly, perhaps, but keep your mouth shut. Most people, when they are lying or hiding something, will give you a prepared statement. They have a rehearsed script. They deliver it, and then they wait for your reaction. If you don't react, if you just wait, their brain goes into panic mode. They think, he didn't buy it. He knows. I need to give him more. So they keep talking. They start adding details. They start explaining why they did what they did. They start contradicting themselves. They start word vomiting. The truth always comes out in the silence after the script ends. You can use this in your daily life. Your partner gives you a vague excuse about where they were. Don't interrogate. Just look at them calmly. Wait. Your employee gives you a reason why the project is late. Don't accept it immediately. Wait. Let them sit in the discomfort of their own story. Often, they will backtrack. Well, actually, the real reason is... Silence is a truth serum. It forces people to confront the incompleteness of their own words.
One of the most powerful ways to use silence is to refuse to validate behavior you do not respect. We live in a culture of validation. Everyone wants to be heard, understood, and affirmed. When someone acts out, when they throw a tantrum, make a passive-aggressive joke, or try to bait you, they are looking for a reaction that validates their action. If they insult you and you get angry, you have validated the insult. You have said, "This is significant." If they tell a rude joke and you fake a laugh, you have validated the rudeness. You have said, "This is acceptable." Silence is the ultimate no. When someone says something inappropriate, try this. Do nothing. Don't frown, don't roll your eyes, don't sigh. Just look at them with a blank expression. No reaction, no sound. This is called the glass wall. You are letting their words hit a glass wall and slide down to the floor. You are treating their comment as if it was a non-event, as if it didn't even register on your radar. This is devastating to the ego of a manipulator or an attention seeker. They need the fuel of your reaction to keep the fire burning. When you deny them that fuel, the fire dies. There is nothing more humiliating for a person acting like a fool than be met with absolute stony silence. It makes them feel small. It makes them feel loud. It highlights their foolishness in high definition. If you have ever told a joke to a room of people and nobody laughed, not even a polite chuckle, just dead silence, you know the feeling. It is a feeling of shrinking. Use that. When someone disrespects you, don't fight them, shrink them.
Silence is not just auditory. It is visual. It must be paired with the right body language to be effective. If you stay silent, but you look at the floor, you look submissive. You look like you are being scolded. If you stay silent, but you look nervously around the room,
you look afraid. To use silence as a weapon, you must master the look. This is a steady, unblinking, neutral gaze. It is not an angry glare. An angry glare is a reaction. It shows emotion. The look is the eyes of a scientist observing a rat in a maze. It is detached. It is curious, but cold. When you deliver silence, you must lock eyes. You are anchoring the silence to them. You are saying, I am looking right at you. I hear you, and I'm choosing not to respond. This creates a high-tension circuit. It projects dominance. It is very difficult to hold someone's gaze in silence. It feels aggressive. It feels intimate. Most people will look away first. When they look away, they have submitted. The interaction is over. You have established the frame. Practice this. The next time you're in a low-stakes conflict, maybe a customer service issue or a disagreement with a friend, try holding the eye contact a beat longer than feels comfortable. Don't smile, don't nod, just look. Feel the power shift. Words are ammunition. Most people fire their guns into the air, wasting bullets on warning shots and noise. The silent man saves his bullets. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. This is the principle of scarcity. If you are always talking, always sharing your opinion, always explaining yourself, your words become inflation-prone currency. The value drops. People tune you out. They know what you're going to say before you say it. But if you are known for your silence, when you finally speak, people lean in. They think, he is speaking. It must be important. You create an aura of mystery. People project intelligence onto silence. If you don't reveal everything you're thinking, people assume you are thinking something profound. You might just be thinking about what you want for dinner, but to them, you look like a grand master analyzing the board. Don't correct them, let them project. This is especially true in leadership. The leader who talks too much loses authority. They become one of the guys. The leader who keeps a distance, who keeps his counsel, retains the mystique of command. Stop over-explaining. Stop justifying. No is a complete sentence. I don't think so is a complete stance. You do not owe the world a monologue.
The ultimate form of silence is the walk away. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply remove your presence. If a conversation is circular, if an argument is toxic, if a person is disrespectful, you do not need to win. You do not need to have the last word. You do not need to announce, I am leaving now. You just leave. You hang up the phone. You walk out of the room. You delete the thread. This is the nuclear option of silence. It is a total withdrawal of attention. It sends the message you are not worth engaging with. This interaction is beneath my standard. Reactionaries cannot walk away. They are hooked. They have to stay and fight until the bitter end. They feel compelled to fix it or win it. The sovereign understands that his time is his life. He refuses to spend his life on dead-end interactions. Walking away without a word is a ghost move. It haunts the other person. They are left with their unfinished sentences. They are left with their unresolved anger. You have taken the ball and gone home, leaving them alone on the field. Is it arrogant? Perhaps. Is it effective? Absolutely. It protects your peace, and that is the priority.
The internal volume. We have talked about silence as a social tool, but we must also address the internal aspect. You cannot project a powerful silence outwardly if you are screaming inwardly. If you are sitting there, mouth shut, but your mind is racing with, I hate him, I wish I could punch him, your body language will betray you. You will look tense. You will vibrate with suppressed rage. That is not power. That is a time bomb. True silence, the kind that commands a room, comes from a quiet mind. This brings us back to the gap. You must use the techniques of breath and perspective to quiet the internal noise first. When your internal world is still, your external silence feels like a calm lake. It is peaceful, but it is deep. People are drawn to it, but they are also afraid to disturb it. This is the Zen master effect. It is the ability to be in the middle of a storm and remain dry. When you achieve this, you don't just act powerful, you are powerful.
The challenge. The silent day. I have a challenge for you. It is a game of restraint. In your next conversation, I want you to talk 50% less. Cut your sentences in half. Before you speak, ask, is this necessary? When the other person stops talking, count to 3 before you answer. If they ask a question you don't want to answer, just look at them. Watch what happens. Watch how they react to your new rhythm. Watch how they work harder to please you. Watch how much energy you save. You will feel a strange sensation. It is the feeling of leverage. You are no longer the one dancing. You are the one watching the dance. Silence is a muscle. It is weak in most people because they never exercise it. They are terrified of it. But you are going to go to the gym. You are going to lift the heavy weight of silence until you can hold it effortlessly. And when you do, you will realize that you don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to fight to win. You just need to be the unmovable object. The world is loud. Be the quiet. Chapter 5. Severing the strings. Look at your limbs. Look at your hands. Look at your feet. Now imagine invisible fishing lines tied to your wrists and ankles. These lines stretch out into the darkness, disappearing into the hands of the people around you. When your boss frowns, he pulls a string and your stomach drops. When your partner sighs, she pulls a string and you scramble to apologize. When a stranger on the internet insults you, they pull a string and your blood pressure spikes. Dance, puppet, dance. This is the reality of your existence. You think you are a free man or woman, but you are not. You are a marionette. You are tied to 100 different masters, all of them tugging at you, jerking you around, making you move to their rhythm. You have outsourced your emotional stability. You have handed out remote controls to your happiness and distributed them to the world. Anyone who walks by can pick up the remote, press a button, and change your channel. They press anger, and you rage. They press guilt, and you cry. They press insecurity, and you shrink. It is pathetic, and I use that word deliberately. It is pathetic to be a grown adult with the emotional autonomy of a wind-up toy. Chapter 5 is about finding the scissors. It is about identifying these invisible strings, tracing them back to their source, and severing them. It is about declaring, once and for all, that your internal state is a closed loop. No one gets in unless you invite them. No one controls the weather inside your head but you. The mechanism of attachment. Why do we have these strings? We aren't born with them. We forge them. We forge them out of a desperate, childish need for external validation. The string is an agreement. It is a contract you sign that says, I need your approval to feel good about myself. Therefore, I give you the power to make me feel bad about myself. You cannot have one without the other. This is the trap. You want the string of praise. You want people to tell you you're smart, attractive, successful, and funny. You love the high of that validation. But that same channel, that same connection, is the one used to deliver the poison. If you are addicted to their compliments, you will be destroyed by their insults. If their opinion can lift you to the sky, it can also bury you in the dirt. To sever the strings, you must be willing to let go of the praise as well as the criticism. You must reach a point of self-validation. Self-validation is the state where you know your own value so deeply, so factually, that external input becomes irrelevant. If you know you are a hard worker and your boss calls you lazy, you don't get angry. You get confused. It's like someone telling you that you have purple skin. You know you don't. You check the mirror. Nope, not purple. Their statement is factually incorrect. It doesn't land. It doesn't hook you. The string only exists where there is doubt. If you secretly suspect you are lazy, the boss's comment acts like a heat-seeking missile. It finds your insecurity and detonates. That is the string. The string is your own insecurity connecting with their words. The string of guilt, the weapon of intimacy. The thickest, strongest strings are usually held by the people we love. Parents, spouses, siblings, close friends. They don't use insults. They use guilt. After all I did for you, I guess I'm just a burden. If you really loved me, you would. Guilt is a mechanism of control disguised as morality. It is a way to force you to act against your own self-interest by leveraging your empathy. When you react to guilt, when you change your behavior just to stop feeling bad, you are dancing on the string. You are rewarding the manipulator. You are teaching them that the guilt button works, so they will press it again and again. Severing the string of guilt does not mean you become a psychopath. It means you distinguish between obligation and manipulation. You can love your mother and still refuse to attend a toxic family gathering. You can love your partner and still refuse to tolerate their bad mood. The mantra here is, I am responsible for my actions. I am not responsible for your reactions. If you set a boundary and they choose to feel hurt, that is their emotional labor, not yours. You do not need to fix it. You do not need to rush in with the glue. Let them sit with their feelings. If you cut the string of guilt, they will pull harder at first. They will call you cold. They will call you selfish. Let them. Selfish is often just a label people use when you stop doing what they want. Wear it like a badge of honor. It means the scissors are working.
The string of defense, the trap of jade. There is a concept in psychology used for dealing with toxic people called jade. It stands for justify, argue, defend, explain. These are the 4 behaviors of a puppet. When someone accuses you of something, you're always late, you don't care about this project, you're being irrational, the immediate instinct is to jade. You want to set the record straight. You want to prove you were good. I'm not late. The traffic was terrible and I left on time. I do care. Look at all the work I did. Stop. Look at what you are doing. You are asking for a verdict. You are standing in the witness box, presenting evidence to a judge who has already decided you are guilty. Every time you justify, argue, defend, or explain, you are tightening the string. You are validating their authority to judge you. You are saying, your opinion of me matters so much that I will exhaust myself trying to change it. Severing this string means stepping out of the courtroom. When someone accuses you, you don't defend. You acknowledge their statement without accepting its premise. Accusation. You're being selfish. Puppet response. No, I'm not. I did X, Y, and Z for you. Sovereign response. I'm sorry you feel that way. And then you go back to work. Accusation. This idea is stupid. Puppet response. Let me explain the data behind it. Sovereign response. I stand by the strategy. Do you feel the difference? One is frantic, the other is final.
You do not owe anyone an explanation for your existence. You do not need to file a defense brief every time someone misunderstands you. Let them be wrong about you. This is a superpower. The ability to let people be wrong about you and be perfectly okay with it is the ultimate sign of unhooking. The string of offense. Now let's talk about the strings you attach to yourself. The string of taking offense. Getting offended is a choice. It is a very specific, active choice to interpret something as an attack on your worth. People say stupid things. People say cruel things. This is the nature of humanity. It is like the weather. You don't get offended when it rains. You don't shake your fist at the clouds and scream, "How dare you rain on me? Don't you know who I am?" That would be madness. You just put on a raincoat. Yet, when a colleague makes a snide remark, you treat it as a personal cosmic violation. Why? Because your ego is bloated and fragile. The ego wants to be the center of the universe. It thinks everything is about it. He cut me off. No, he's just a bad driver. She ignored my text. No, she's busy. They laughed when I walked in. No, they were already laughing. When you take offense, you are essentially saying, "I am so important that your actions must be targeted at me." Severing this string requires a dose of humility. You are not that important. People are mostly thinking about themselves, not you. Their rudeness is a reflection of their own misery, their own bad upbringing, their own bad day. It has nothing to do with you. When you realize this, the string snaps. Someone insults you, and instead of anger, you feel pity. You think, "Wow, that person is carrying a lot of pain to be acting like that." You step aside. You don't catch the ball. You don't get hooked. The observation deck visualization. How do we do this in the heat of the moment? I want to give you a visualization tool. When you feel the hook, when you feel that urge to explain, defend, or explode, I want you to mentally transport yourself to the observation deck. Imagine your life is a stage play. You are the actor down on the stage. The antagonist is the person yelling at you, but the real you, the consciousness, is sitting up in the balcony, in the dark, watching the show. You are eating popcorn. From the balcony, you can see the strings. You see the other actor trying to provoke a reaction. You see them flailing. You see your avatar down on stage. From the balcony, whisper instructions to your avatar. Don't engage. Look at how red his face is. Interesting. Just smile and nod. End the scene. This dissociation breaks the emotional circuit. It reminds you that this is just a scene. It is temporary. It is not your whole life. You are the watcher, not the victim. The power of whatever. There is a word that, when used correctly, is a samurai sword for cutting strings. That word is okay, or its cousins. Interesting. I see. Maybe you're right. These are the words of non-resistance. When you pull on a string, it creates tension. If you let go of your end of the string, the other person falls over. They want to fight. They want resistance. They want you to pull back. When you say, "Okay," you drop the rope. "You're the worst manager I've ever had." Okay. Silence. "You're going to regret this." I see. Silence. "I think you're making a huge mistake." That's possible. Silence. There is no hook. There is nothing for them to grab onto. You are coated in emotional Teflon. Their words slide right off. This drives manipulators insane. They will ramp up the attacks. They will try harder to find a button that works. You don't even care. You're arrogant. I hear what you're saying. Eventually, they run out of energy. They deflate. You have severed the strings by refusing to pick them up. Reclaiming the remote control. Imagine that remote control we talked about at the start, the one with the buttons for your emotions. I want you to visualize yourself walking around to everyone who holds it. Your boss, your spouse, your parents, your enemies. I want you to visualize taking it out of their hands. Gently, but firmly. I'll take that back, thank you. You are collecting the pieces of your fragmented self. You hold the remote now. You decide when to be angry. You decide when to be happy. You decide when to be sad. If a situation warrants anger, like a true injustice, you can choose to turn on the anger. You can use it as fuel. But it is your choice. It is a controlled burn, not a wildfire. If a situation is sad, you can choose to grieve. But you are grieving because you chose to process the loss, not because someone guilt-tripped you into it. This is the state of sovereignty, the withdrawal symptoms. Be warned, when you start severing strings, your relationships will change. People hate change. Specifically, people hate when you change the rules of the game they were winning. When you stop reacting to their guilt, they will say you've changed. When you stop defending yourself against their accusations, they will say you don't care. When you stop seeking their validation, they will feel rejected. Some people will leave your life. The only thing tethering them to you was the string. Once the control is gone, the relationship dissolves. Let them go. You are not losing friends, you are losing parasites. You are losing dead weight. The people who truly respect you, the people who love you for you, not for your compliance, will adjust. They will learn to respect your new boundaries. In fact, they will respect you more. There is a magnetism to a person who cannot be controlled. It is rare. It is attractive. By severing the strings of the manipulators, you make room for the strings of genuine connection. Strings based on mutual respect, not control.
The challenge. For the next 24 hours, practice the "is that so" technique. This is a form of mirroring. No matter what someone says to you, especially if it is opinionated, rude, or dramatic, simply respond with a neutral question. This project is a disaster. Is that so? You're being really difficult today. You think I'm being difficult? I can't believe what the government just did. It's surprising to you? Don't add your opinion. Don't agree. Don't disagree. Just bounce the ball back. Notice how much energy you save. Notice how quickly the other person runs out of steam. You are not playing tennis anymore. You are the wall against which they are hitting the ball. Eventually, their arm will get tired. And you? You will be fresh. You will be ready. You will be untouched. This is the power of the mirror.
Chapter 7. Strategic Non-Engagement. The greatest generals in history, Napoleon, Genghis Khan, Alexander, were not known just for the battles they fought. They were known for the battles they avoided. Sun Tzu, the author of The Art of War, wrote, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." Read that again. Without fighting. Most people think power means crushing the enemy in open combat. They think it means debating until the other person collapses, screaming until they are heard, or litigating until they win. They view life as a series of gladiatorial matches where every challenge must be met with a sword. This is the strategy of a fool. It is the strategy of a man who will die young, exhausted, and surrounded by enemies. The master strategist understands a different truth. Most battles are traps. Most arguments are not attempts to find the truth. They are attempts to drain your energy. Most conflicts are not necessary. They are distractions. Chapter 7 is about the high-level art of strategic non-engagement. It is about looking at a conflict, assessing the cost, and deciding with absolute coldness, I am not participating in this. This is not surrender. Surrender is when you fight and lose. Non-engagement is when you look at the game board, realize the game is rigged or beneath you, and simply walk out of the casino. You cannot lose a game you refuse to play.
The ROI of conflict. I want you to start looking at conflict through the lens of an investor. Every time you engage in a dispute, whether it is a comment war on Facebook, a spat with a neighbor, or a debate with a drunken relative, you are investing capital. You are investing time, the minutes or hours spent arguing, emotional energy, the cortisol spike, the adrenaline, the post-argument ruminating, opportunity cost, what you could have been doing with that time and energy, making money, working out, sleeping, loving your family. Now, look at the ROI. If you win the argument with the stranger on the internet, what do you get? Do you get a cash prize? No. Do they change their life philosophy and thank you? No. Do you feel a deep sense of peace? No. You usually feel agitated. The investment is high. The return is zero or negative. It is a bad trade. If you made financial investments like this, throwing thousands of dollars into stocks that you knew would go to zero, you would be bankrupt in a month. Yet you do this with your spirit every single day. Strategic non-engagement is the discipline of saying, the ROI on this conflict is too low. I am not buying. When a coworker tries to rope you into office gossip, you calculate the ROI. Risk? Getting labeled a gossip, wasting time, creating enemies. Reward? 5 minutes of entertainment. Verdict? Bad trade. You don't engage. When a toxic ex sends a text trying to bait you into a fight, you calculate the ROI. Risk? Reopening old wounds, ruining your day, giving them satisfaction. Reward? Defending your ego. Verdict? Bad trade. You delete the text. This is not emotional. It is mathematical. The sovereign protects his assets, and his greatest asset is his focus. The power of I don't care. We are taught that apathy is bad. We are taught that we should care about everything. Politics, the environment, social justice, our neighbor's lawn, the celebrity scandal, the price of tea in China. We are over-leveraged on caring. We have spread our empathy so thin that it has become transparent. We are outraged by everything, which means we are effective at nothing. True power comes from selective apathy. It comes from the ability to look at a situation that is burning down and say, that is not my fire. This sounds cold. Good. You need to be a little colder. The world is too hot. If you care about everything, you have no energy left for the things that actually matter. Your mission, your family, your health. Strategic non-engagement means actively choosing to be indifferent to things that do not serve your purpose. Did you hear what they said about you? I don't care. Aren't you upset about the news? I don't care. You need to pick a side. I don't care. This phrase, I don't care, is a shield. It protects you from being drafted into other people's wars. People will try to shame you for this. They will call you privileged. They will call you ignorant. They will try to guilt you into engaging. Silence is violence, they will scream. No, silence is peace, and you have a right to it. You are not the general manager of the universe. It is not your job to fix everything, judge everything, or have an opinion on everything. Resign from the position of general manager. Go back to tending your own garden. You will find that your garden blooms while their world burns. The art of the fade. Sometimes you cannot just say, I don't care. Sometimes you are in a relationship or a job where you need to extract yourself delicately. This is where you use the fade. The fade is a form of strategic non-engagement where you slowly withdraw your energy over time, so gradually that the other person doesn't even realize you are gone until it is too late. If you have a needy friend who uses you as a free therapist, you don't need to have a dramatic breakup conversation. That is high engagement. That creates drama. Instead, you fade. You take longer to reply to texts. Your answers become shorter. You are busy more often. You stop asking them questions. You are turning down the volume knob on the relationship. You aren't slamming the door. You are just dimming the lights. Eventually, they stop calling. They find a new source of supply. The fade is the weapon of the ghost. It allows you to exit a situation without firing a shot. It saves face for everyone, but it achieves the goal: freedom. In a corporate setting, this is called ignoring the noise. When a useless email chain starts, you don't reply, "Please remove me." You just archive it. You let it die a natural death. You become like a ghost in the machine. You are there, but you are not there. You do your work, you deliver value, but you do not participate in the drama. You are untouchable because you are invisible to the conflict.
The trap of righteousness. Why is non-engagement so hard? Because of righteousness. We love to be right. We love to be the crusader. We love the feeling of putting a bad person in their place. When we see injustice or stupidity or lies, a fire lights up in our belly. I have to say something. I have to correct this. This is the ego, disguised as a hero. The ego tells you that you are Batman. The ego tells you that it is your duty to save the city from the Joker. But you are not Batman. And the person arguing with you is not the Joker. They are just a random person with a smartphone and too much time. Engaging with them doesn't fix the world. It just muddies you. There is a proverb: never wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty, and the pig likes it. Strategic non-engagement is the realization that the pig wants to wrestle. The pig is lonely. The pig is bored. The pig thrives in the mud. When you jump into the pen to fix the pig, you are giving him exactly what he wants: intimacy. Yes, conflict is a form of intimacy. It requires two people to lock horns. It requires close contact. Do you want to be intimate with a fool? Do you want to be intimate with a liar? Do you want to be intimate with a person who disrespects you? No. So don't touch them. Don't wrestle. Stay on the fence and walk away. Let them wallow alone. That is the greatest punishment you can inflict.
The delete and block mindset. In the digital age, strategic non-engagement has a physical button. Two of them, actually: delete and block. These are the most underutilized tools in your arsenal. Some people feel guilty about blocking. They think it is petty or weak. They think they should be open to debate. Nonsense. Your digital space is your home. If a stranger walked into your living room and started screaming at you and defecating on the rug, would you debate him? Would you worry about being petty if you kicked him out? No. You would remove him immediately. Your phone is your living room. Your social media feed is your living room. If someone enters that space and brings toxicity, you do not owe them a hearing. You do not owe them free speech on your private platform. Block them. Do it without anger. Do it without a final warning. Just make them disappear. It is a beautiful feeling. 1 second they exist, the next second they don't. You have exercised your godlike power over your own reality. But won't they think I'm afraid to argue? Who cares what they think? They are blocked. You can't hear them anymore. They are shouting into the void. This is the ultimate dominance. You have erased them from your universe. The pocket veto is when a president or executive simply leaves a bill on their desk until it expires. They don't sign it. They don't veto it. They just ignore it until it dies. You can use the pocket veto in your life. Someone sends you a passive-aggressive demand. You use the pocket veto. You do nothing. A family member tries to guilt-trip you into hosting an event. Pocket veto. Ignore the implication. Your boss suggests a voluntary team-building activity that sounds miserable. Pocket veto. Don't sign up. Don't complain. Just don't go. We often feel that we must explicitly say no to everything. But sometimes no invites a counterargument. No starts a negotiation. Nothingness cannot be negotiated with. If you just don't do it and don't talk about it, people often assume you just forgot, or they forget about it themselves. Of course, use this wisely. Don't pocket veto your tax return or a direct order from a superior on a critical task. That's negligence. But for the low-level noise of life, the invitations, the favors, the drama, the pocket veto is a masterstroke. It creates a filter. If it's really important, they will come back. If it wasn't, it will disappear. The okay of doom. We discussed okay in Chapter 5, but here we use it as a tool of dismissal. When you are forced to engage, but you want to signal that you are not really engaging, use the dismissive affirmation. Okay. Sure. Right. I hear you. These words, delivered with a flat tone, are walls. You're making a huge mistake. Okay. And keep doing what you were doing. I can't believe you're wearing that. Right? And keep walking. You are verbally acknowledging their sound waves, but you are behaviorally ignoring their content. This drives control freaks crazy. They want you to argue so they can correct you. By agreeing, technically, but not complying, you short-circuit their programming. You are engaging in malicious compliance with the social contract. You are being polite enough to answer, but distant enough to be unreachable. The identity of the ghost. To master strategic non-engagement, you must become comfortable with being a mystery. People who overengage are usually people who need to be understood. They explain themselves constantly because they want to be seen. The ghost doesn't care if he is seen. In fact, he prefers not to be. The ghost moves through the world, leaving no trace. He enters a room, does his business, and leaves. He doesn't get entangled in the vines. When you adopt this identity, you become lighter. You don't carry the baggage of 1,000 arguments. You don't carry the grudges of 100 enemies. You are clean. You will notice that people start to project power onto you. They will wonder, what is he thinking? Why doesn't he react? What does he know that I don't? Your lack of engagement makes you larger than life. Think of the most famous celebrities or leaders. Do they reply to hate comments? Do they argue with trolls? No, they are too high up. They can't even hear the noise from the bottom of the mountain. When you refuse to engage, you are placing yourself at the top of the mountain. You are acting the part of the aristocrat, the king, the master. Fake it until you feel it. Act like you are too important to argue, and eventually, you will become too important to argue. The 7-day fast. For the next 7 days, your goal is to have 0 unnecessary conflicts. If someone cuts you off, you do not honk. If someone insults you, you delete the comment. If your partner tries to pick a fight, you say okay and walk away. If you see a headline that makes you angry, you scroll past. Starve the beast. Every time you feel the urge to jump into the ring, I want you to visualize your energy bar. It is full, it is glowing gold. If you jump in, that bar drops to 0. You lose your gold. Keep the gold. Hoard it. At the end of the 7 days, assess how you feel. Assess your sleep. Assess your focus. Assess your happiness. You will find that you have an abundance of energy. You will feel vibrant. You will feel powerful. You will realize that the war was never out there. The war was your own addiction to the fight, and you have just declared peace. Chapter 8. The Fortress of Solitude. Imagine a tent pitched on the side of a highway. It is made of thin nylon. The wind shakes it. The rain soaks through it. Every passing car rattles the frame. If a stranger walks by and kicks it, the whole structure collapses. The person inside is constantly anxious, constantly exposed, constantly vulnerable to the elements.
Now, imagine a stone fortress built into the side of a mountain. The walls are 6 feet thick. The foundation is bedrock. The windows are high and narrow. A storm can rage outside, thunder can shake the ground, and armies can march by screaming at the gates. But inside? Inside, the air is still. The fire is warm. The master of the fortress sits at his table, eating his dinner in absolute peace, barely hearing the noise of the world outside. Most people are living in tents. They have built their identity out of nylon. Their sense of self is flimsy. It is constructed from the opinions of others, the number of likes on a photo, the balance in a bank account, and the approval of their parents. Because their shelter is so weak, they are terrified of the weather. A single insult tears a hole in their wall. A single rejection blows the roof off. They spend their entire lives frantically patching the holes, trying to keep the structure from falling down. To master the art of not reacting, you cannot just learn tricks. You cannot just use techniques like the pause or the mirror. Those are weapons, yes, but a warrior needs a home. You need to dismantle the tent. You need to carry the stones up the mountain. You need to build the fortress of solitude. This chapter is about internal architecture. It is about constructing a soul so dense, so rich, and so fortified that the chaos of the world simply cannot get in.
The horror of the empty house. Why do we care so much about what other people think? Because most of us are empty inside. I know that sounds harsh, but look at the evidence. When you are alone, truly alone, without a phone, without Netflix, without a podcast, what happens? Do you feel at peace? Or do you feel a creeping sense of anxiety? Do you feel the desperate need to distract yourself? That anxiety is the echo of an empty room. You have spent so much time decorating your external life, your body, your career, your reputation, that you have neglected the furniture of your mind. You are a beautiful house with nothing inside. Because you are empty, you need other people to come in and fill you up. You need them to tell you that you matter. You need them to validate your existence. You are a beggar standing at the door of your own life, asking strangers for scraps of self-worth. This is why you react. When someone insults you, they are threatening to stop feeding you. They are threatening to leave you alone in the empty house, and that terrifies you. The sovereign man, the sovereign woman, they are never empty. They are full. They have a rich inner life. They have a code of honor. They have a mission. They have a relationship with themselves that is more interesting than any relationship they have with the world. When they are alone, they are not lonely. They are in good company. Because they are full, they do not need your validation. If you give it, fine. If you don't, fine. They have their own supply. They are self-sustaining.
The Inner Citadel. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius ruled the known world. He had absolute power. He also had enemies, plagues, wars, and betrayals surrounding him every day. How did he survive? He wrote about his inner citadel. He said that nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. But here is the catch. You have to build the citadel before you can retreat into it. You cannot run to a safe house that doesn't exist.
Building the citadel means defining your core values. Most people have preferences, not values. A preference is, I like honesty. A value is, I will tell the truth even if it costs me money, friends, or safety. A preference is flexible. A value is concrete. What are the pillars of your fortress? Is it truth? Is it discipline? Is it loyalty? Is it courage? You must write these down. You must etch them into the walls of your mind. When you know exactly who you are and what you stand for, insults lose their power. If someone calls you a liar, but your core value is truth, and you know in your bones that you are honest, the insult bounces off. It's like someone calling you a giraffe. It's just a weird noise. It doesn't stick because there is no Velcro of doubt for it to latch onto. But if you have no values, if you are slippery with the truth, then the accusation of liar stings. It hurts because deep down, you fear it might be true. The fortress is built on the bedrock of self-knowledge. When you know yourself, no one can tell you who you are.
Solitude versus loneliness. To build this fortress, you must master the art of being alone. Society tells us that being alone is a failure. It calls it loneliness. It pities the person sitting alone at a restaurant. It worries about the person who spends Friday night reading a book. Society is wrong. There is a massive difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the pain of being alone. It is a craving for company. It is a state of lack. Solitude is the glory of being alone. It is a state of abundance. It is the enjoyment of one's own mind. In the fortress of solitude, you are cultivating yourself. You are reading the great books. You are thinking deep thoughts. You are sharpening your skills. You are meditating on your vision. You are becoming a person of substance. The more comfortable you become in solitude, the less power the world has over you. Think about it. The worst thing a tribe can do to a person is ostracize them, kick them out. We won't talk to you, we won't look at you. For the person who fears solitude, this is death. They will do anything, say anything, compromise anything to be let back in. They will apologize when they are right, they will beg. But for the person who loves solitude, the threat of ostracization is meaningless. You want to kick me out? Okay, I'll go to my fortress. I have better books there anyway. I have better thoughts there. You become cancel-proof. You become rejection-proof. When you do not fear being alone, you are the most powerful person in the negotiation. You are the one who can walk away. And the one who can walk away always holds the cards.
Weeding the garden. Your mind is a garden. For years, you have let people dump toxic waste in it. You have let the news plant seeds of fear. You have let social media plant seeds of inadequacy. You have let your parents plant seeds of guilt. The fortress of solitude is a gated community. You control who gets in. You must become a ruthless gardener. You must rip out the weeds. If there is a voice in your head that says you're not good enough, ask yourself, whose voice is that? Is it yours? Or is it your father's? Is it your ex's? If it's not yours, throw it out. You must stop consuming garbage. You cannot build a fortress out of trash. Stop watching content that makes you angry. Stop following people who make you feel small. Stop listening to music that glorifies weakness and victimhood. Protect your inputs. Your eyes and ears are the gates to the fortress. If you leave the gates open, the enemy will walk right in and sleep in your bed. Close the gates. Guard the mind.
The audience of one. We perform for an audience. That is human nature. We want applause. The problem is that you are performing for the wrong audience. You are performing for them. The faceless crowd, the internet, the neighbors. The master performs for an audience of one. That one is the ideal version of himself. Or, if you are religious, that one is God. When you act, you should look in the mirror and ask, did I respect myself today? If the world boos, but you know you did the right thing, you are at peace. If the world cheers, but you know you sold out, you are in hell. This shift in audience is critical. When you are in the fortress, the only applause that matters is your own self-respect. Self-respect is better than happiness. Happiness is fleeting. It comes and goes with the weather. Self-respect is a constant warmth. It is the fire in the hearth of the fortress. You earn self-respect by doing difficult things, by keeping promises to yourself, by holding your tongue when you want to scream, by walking away when you want to fight. Every time you exercise the art of not reacting, you are laying a brick in the wall of self-respect. You are proving to yourself that you are in control, and the more self-respect you have, the less you need the respect of others.
The practice of retreat. How do you visit the fortress? You are busy. You have a job, kids, bills. You can't move to a cave in the Himalayas. You visit the fortress in the margins of the day. You need a daily ritual of retreat. It might be 20 minutes in the morning before the house wakes up. It might be the drive to work with the radio off. It might be a walk after dinner. During this time, you are entering the inner citadel. No phone, no inputs. In this silence, you recalibrate. You remind yourself of your values. You wash off the dust of the day. You prepare for the battles to come. I am calm. I am steady. I am the mountain. If you do not schedule this retreat, the world will eat you alive. The world is a relentless machine that wants to grind you down into a cog. The retreat is where you remember you are a human.
The invincible summer. Albert Camus wrote, "In the midst of winter, I found there was, within me, an invincible summer." This is the ultimate goal of the fortress, to cultivate an internal climate that is independent of the external weather. They can fire you, they can leave you, they can slander you, they can take your money, but they cannot enter the fortress. They cannot touch your character. They cannot touch your mind. This is what makes a person dangerous. A person who has nothing to lose because their true treasure is locked inside a vault that no one else has the key to is unstoppable. When you realize that your well-being comes from inside, not outside, you stop begging, you stop chasing, you stop reacting. You sit back, you smile, you watch the show. You are the king in his castle. Let the peasants riot in the mud. It has nothing to do with you. The test of the fortress. You will know your fortress is finished when a crisis hits and your first instinct is not to panic, but to go inward. Something terrible happens. The old you would have picked up the phone. The old you would have screamed. The new you goes silent. The new you closes the eyes. The new you retreats into the citadel, consults the council of reason, checks the foundations, and then steps out to handle the situation with cold, surgical precision. This is the stability that attracts others. People are terrified. They are looking for a leader. They are looking for someone who isn't shaking. When you build your fortress, you become a shelter for others. Your children, your partner, your team. They will flock to you when the storm comes. Not because you are loud, but because you are solid. They will hide behind your walls. Your non-reactivity becomes their safety. Your silence becomes their anchor.
The solo date. I want you to do something that might terrify you.
I want you to take yourself out on a date. Go to a restaurant or a coffee shop or a park alone. Leave your phone in the car. Do not bring a book. Do not bring a notebook. Just sit there for 30 minutes. Eat your food. Drink your coffee. Look at the people. Look at the wall. You will feel the itch to check a notification, the itch to look busy so you don't look like a loser. Fight the itch. Sit in the discomfort until it turns into power. Realize that you are enough. Realize that you don't need to be doing anything to be worthy. Realize that your own company is a luxury. If you can survive 30 minutes alone with your own thoughts, you can survive anything the world throws at you. Build the fortress. Lock the gate. Throw away the key. You are safe now.
Chapter 9. Alchemy. Turning anger into fuel. There is a law in physics called the first law of thermodynamics. It states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred or changed from one form to another. This law applies to the universe. It applies to engines, and it applies to you. When you are insulted, betrayed, or rejected, a massive amount of energy is generated inside your body. You feel it as heat. You feel it as a vibration in your chest. You feel it as a sudden urge to move, to scream, to break something. This is high-grade nuclear energy. Most people do two things with this energy, and both are wrong. The exploders vomit it out. They scream, they fight, they punch walls. They release the energy into the atmosphere, wasting it entirely and causing destruction in the process. They are like an engine with a fuel leak that catches fire. The repressors swallow it. They smile politely while their insides are screaming. They push the energy down into their gut, where it turns into ulcers, high blood pressure, depression, and bitterness. They are storing toxic waste in their own basement. But there is a third type of person, the alchemist. The alchemist understands that anger is not bad. Anger is simply fuel. It is raw, unrefined power. The alchemist does not release the energy, nor does he hide it. He captures it. He funnels it. He pipes it directly into the engine of his ambition. He takes the heat of the insult and uses it to forge an empire. He takes the pain of the rejection and uses it to sculpt his body. He takes the chaos of the conflict and transmutes it into order. This is the ancient secret of power. You do not need to be happy to be effective. In fact, a happy man is often complacent. A hungry, angry, driven man, a man with a chip on his shoulder and fire in his belly, can change the world. Chapter 9 is about how to stop wasting your pain. It is about how to turn the lead of your rage into the gold of your success.
The gift of enemies. Society tells you that you should want everyone to like you. Society tells you that having enemies is a sign of failure. Nonsense. If you have no enemies, you have no character. If you have no one trying to tear you down, it means you haven't built anything worth attacking. But more importantly, enemies are useful. An enemy provides you with something a friend never can: pure, unadulterated motivation. Friends are comfortable. They accept you as you are. They forgive your mediocrity. They tell you, it's okay, you tried your best, even when you failed. An enemy creates a standard. An enemy says, you are weak, you are stupid, you are incapable. This is a challenge. And for the alchemist, a challenge is the spark that ignites the engine. Think of the greatest athletes in history: Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. They were famous for inventing slights. If an opposing player didn't look at them, they took it as an insult. If a reporter ranked them second, they took it as a declaration of war. They used these perceived insults to fuel their 4 a.m. workouts.
When their lungs were burning, when their legs were shaking, when they wanted to quit, they didn't think about their friends. They thought about their enemies. They thought about the people who said they couldn't do it, and that thought gave them one more rep, one more mile, one more hour of focus. Stop trying to make peace with people who want to see you fail. Thank them. They just handed you a free battery pack.
The process of sublimation. In psychology, this process is called sublimation. It is a mature defense mechanism where socially unacceptable impulses, like wanting to smash someone's face in, are transformed into socially productive actions, like crushing a sales goal or lifting a heavy weight. How do you do it? How do you actually perform the alchemy? Step 1. The containment. The first step is the hardest. When the anger hits, you must not leak. Someone disrespects you, the fire flares up, your instinct is to snap back. You must seal the vessel. Clamp your mouth shut. Do not let a single word of anger escape. This creates pressure. The pressure is uncomfortable. It feels like you are going to explode. Good. You need that pressure. An engine doesn't work without compression. Step 2. The identification. Label the energy. Do not call it anger. Call it drive. Call it intensity. Call it focus. Say to yourself, I am currently possessing a massive amount of energy. I need to put it somewhere. Step 3. The redirection. Immediately, and I mean immediately, throw yourself into a high-effort task. Do not sit on the couch and stew. That is how the acid burns through the container. You must move. If you are at work, open the most difficult project you have and attack it with a vengeance. Type harder, read faster, solve the problem with aggressive precision. If you are at home, clean the house. Not a light dusting, a scrub. Channel the aggression into the physical movement. If you are near a gym, go now. Step 4. The burn. Work until the anger is gone. You will find that you have a level of stamina you didn't know existed. You're running on dirty fuel, but it burns hot. You will break personal records. You will finish work in half the time. Eventually, the anger will fade. It will be consumed by the effort. And what are you left with? You are left with a clean house, a finished project, a stronger body, and a calm mind. You have turned the lead, the insult, into gold, the result.
The sanctuary of iron. The most direct laboratory for this alchemy is the gym. There is a profound spiritual connection between heavy weights and heavy emotions. The iron does not care about your feelings. It does not care if you were fired. It does not care if your heart was broken. It weighs exactly 45 pounds, today, tomorrow, and forever. When you are carrying a burden of rage, the iron is the only thing that can handle it. You can take all that frustration, the screaming voice in your head that says it's not fair, and you can push it into the bar. You can physically exercise the demon through exertion. There is a specific kind of clarity that comes after a set of heady squats. Your central nervous system is so taxed, your body is so flooded with endorphins, that the petty insults of the day simply cease to exist. You are too tired to be angry. You are too strong to be a victim. If you are not physically training, you are missing the most effective emotional regulation tool ever invented. You cannot think your way out of rage. You have to sweat your way out of it.
Spite is a valid starter fuel. Let's be honest. The spiritual gurus will tell you that you should only be motivated by love and light. They will tell you that acting out of spite is low vibration. Perhaps. But if you are stuck in a hole, you don't need high vibration. You need a ladder. And sometimes that ladder is made of spite. I'll show them. This is one of the most powerful sentences in the human language. If someone broke your heart and told you that you were worthless, use it. Get in the best shape of your life. Not for them, but because of them. Build a business that makes millions. Become so undeniable that they have to watch your success from the sidelines. Is this petty? Maybe. Does it work? Absolutely. Spite is a dirty fuel. It produces smoke. You shouldn't run your engine on it forever. Eventually, you must switch to cleaner sources like purpose and love. But to get the car moving, to get out of the mud, spite is high-octane rocket fuel. Use the chip on your shoulder. Let it make you work harder than the guy who had it easy. Let it make you wake up earlier. The best revenge is not keying their car. The best revenge is massive, overwhelming success. The best revenge is living a life so amazing that you forget they even exist, while they have to remember you every time they see your name in lights.
Creative destruction. Alchemy isn't just about lifting weights. It is about creation. Some of the greatest art, literature, and music in human history was born from pain. Adele wrote her best albums while heartbroken. Dante wrote the Inferno while exiled. Entrepreneurs build billion-dollar companies because they were fired or underestimated. Pain is a signal that something is wrong. Creation is the act of fixing it. When you are angry at the state of the world, don't tweet about it. Build a solution. When you are angry at your financial situation, don't complain. Build a side hustle. When you are angry at your own ignorance, read a book. This is called creative destruction. You are taking the destructive impulse of anger and inverting it. Instead of breaking a window, you build a house. Every time you feel the urge to destroy, ask yourself, what can I build with this energy? If you write, write furiously. Let the anger sharpen your words. If you code, code relentlessly. Let the frustration debug the system. If you negotiate, negotiate fearlessly. Let the aggression give you a backbone. Your output will have a different quality. It will have teeth. It will have weight. People can feel when a work was created with intensity. It resonates. Safe art is boring. Safe business is mediocre. The work that changes the world usually has a drop of blood in the mortar.
The shadow self. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung talked about the shadow. This is the dark, primal, aggressive side of the human psyche. We are taught to hide the shadow. We are taught to be nice. But a man without a shadow is not a good man. He is a harmless man. And there is a difference. A rabbit is not virtuous because it doesn't bite. It doesn't bite because it can't. A lion who chooses not to bite, that is virtue. That is controlled power. To be an alchemist, you must integrate your shadow. You must have access to your aggression. You must be able to tap into that reservoir of dark energy when you need it. There are times in life when nice doesn't work. When you are protecting your family, when you are closing a deal against a shunk, when you are pushing through the last mile of a marathon. You need the monster. You need the part of you that is capable of violence, capable of ruthlessness, capable of absolute dominance. And you need to have it on a leash. The alchemist keeps the monster in the basement lifting weights. He doesn't let it run the house, but he brings it out when there is heavy lifting to be done. Don't be afraid of your anger. Don't be afraid of your capacity for darkness. Own it. Harness it. It is the nuclear reactor that powers the lights in the city.
The clean burn. How do you know if you are doing it right? How do you know if you are transmuting the anger, or if the anger is consuming you? The answer is in the afterburn. If you act out of unchecked rage, you feel drained, ashamed, and shaky afterward. You have a hangover. You regret what you did. If you repress the rage, you feel heavy, anxious, and sick. You have indigestion of the soul. But if you transmute the rage, if you use it as fuel, you feel clean. After the workout, after the deep work session, after the cleaning frenzy, you feel light. You feel empty in a good way. You feel purged. The energy has been used up. It flowed through the system and turned the wheels, and now it is gone. There is no residue. You can look at the person who insulted you and feel nothing. No anger, no resentment, just indifference. Why? Because you already spent the energy they gave you. You bought a six-pack of abs with it. You bought a promotion with it. You cashed the check. When you reach this state, you become dangerous in the best possible way. People will try to hurt you, and you will just look at them and think, "Thank you for the motivation. I was feeling a little tired today, but you just gave me the boost I needed to finish my week." You become anti-fragile. The more they hit you, the stronger you get. The more wind they blow, the bigger your fire gets.
There is a metaphor in metallurgy called the refiner's fire. To purify gold, you have to heat it to extreme temperatures. The heat causes the impurities, the dross, to float to the surface, where they can be skimmed off. The hotter the fire, the purer the gold. Your life is the crucible, the conflict, the disrespect, the betrayal. This is the fire. You are the gold. If you run from the fire, you remain impure. You remain mixed with the lead of your own weakness. But if you sit in the fire, if you let the anger burn, and if you use that heat to purge yourself of your laziness, your fear, and your need for approval, you come out the other side as solid 24-karat character. Do not ask for an easy life. Do not ask for the fire to be put out. Ask to be the metal that can withstand the flame.
The narrative flip. I want you to change the story of your past. Stop telling the story of a victim. They hurt me. They abandoned me. They treated me unfairly. Start telling the story of the alchemist. They pushed me, and I learned to stand. They abandoned me, and I learned independence. They treated me unfairly, and I learned to fight. Everything that has ever happened to you is a resource. It is raw material lying on the factory floor. Some of it is ugly. Some of it is jagged. Some of it is heavy. Pick it up. Put it in the furnace. Melt it down. You are the architect of your own soul. You don't get to choose the delivery of materials. Sometimes the truck dumps a pile of bricks. Sometimes it dumps a pile of manure. But you choose what to build. You can build a wall to hide behind, or you can build a tower to see the stars. The manure? Use it as fertilizer. Grow a garden so lush that it covers the scars of the past.
The challenge. The rage run. Here is your assignment for this chapter. Wait for the next time you feel a spike of anger. It will happen. Someone will cut you off or be rude, or a plan will fail. Do not vent to a friend. Do not tweet. Do not suppress it. Put on your running shoes, or go to your garage, or sit at your desk with a blank page and go. Push until your lungs burn. Write until your fingers cramp. Work until your eyes blur. Visualize the person or the event that made you angry. Put their face in front of you and run through them. Lift through them. Right past them. Say to them in your mind, "Look what you made me do. Look how strong you made me." Burn it all. When you are finished, when you are dripping with sweat and your heart is pounding a slow, heavy rhythm, notice the silence in your head. The anger is gone. The gold remains. You are an alchemist. You have the power to turn the worst day of your life into the best work of your life. Now, let us move to the final stage. We have defended the fortress. We have turned the weapons of the enemy into fuel. It is time to ascend to the throne. It is time for mastery.
Chapter 10. The Sovereign Self. We have arrived at the summit. We began this journey in the mud, talking about the messy, expensive currency of reaction. We walked through the biology of your rage, the mechanics of the pause, the weapon of silence, and the alchemy of fuel. Now, we stand at the top of the mountain. The air up here is thin. It is cold. It is clear. Look down. Look at the world you left behind. Down there in the valley is the noise, the traffic, the arguments, the people screaming at each other in comment sections, the people ruining their marriages over a misunderstood tone of voice, the people living as slaves to their own amygdala. You used to live down there. You used to be one of them. You used to be a leaf blown by the wind of other people's emotions. But you are not down there anymore. You have climbed, and in climbing, you have changed what you are. You have reached the state of sovereignty. The word sovereign usually refers to a king or a queen, a supreme ruler who answers to no one. But in the context of psychology and the soul, it means something far more profound. A sovereign state is a nation that governs itself. It has its own borders. It has its own laws. It prints its own currency. It does not allow foreign powers to dictate its policy. A sovereign self is the same. It is a mind that governs itself. It is a heart that sets its own borders. It is a spirit that generates its own validation. This final chapter is not about a technique. It is about an identity. It is about permanently shifting your center of gravity from the external world to the internal world. It is about the coronation of the only ruler who matters, you.
The shift from effect to cause. There is a fundamental law of the universe, cause and effect. Most people live their entire lives as the effect. He yelled at me, so I got angry. The economy crashed, so I got depressed. She left me, so I am broken. Do you see the pattern? The external event is the cause. The person is the effect. To be an effect is to be a victim. It is to be an object. It is to be a billiard ball that only moves when it is hit by another ball. It is a life of absolute powerlessness, because your state of being is entirely dependent on what happens to you. The sovereign shifts the equation. The sovereign becomes the cause. He yelled at me, but I chose to remain calm. The economy crashed, so I reinvented my business. She left me, so I rebuilt my life. The external event still happens. We cannot control the weather, but the outcome is generated from the inside out. When you are the cause, you happen to the world. The world does not happen to you. You walk into a room and you set the temperature. You do not adjust to the temperature of the room. You enter a negotiation and you set the frame. You do not fall into theirs. This is a terrifying shift for many people. It is terrifying because it kills the excuse. If you are the cause, you can no longer blame your parents for your temper. You can no longer blame your boss for your stress. You can no longer blame society for your failure. You are the king, and the king is responsible for everything that happens within the walls of the kingdom.
The death of the victim. To wear the crown, the victim must die. This is the hardest part of the transformation. We love the victim. The victim is comfortable. The victim gets sympathy. The victim gets to be right without having to be effective. Poor me, look how badly they treated me. It is a warm, sticky blanket. But you cannot be a sovereign and a victim at the same time. They are mutually exclusive identities. A sovereign does not complain. A sovereign acts. A sovereign does not seek pity. A sovereign seeks solutions. You have to hold a funeral for the part of you that loves to be hurt. You have to say goodbye to the part of you that collects grievances like baseball cards. This means you must stop telling your sob stories. You know the ones. The stories you tell your friends over drinks about how unfair your life is. The stories that end with you being the martyr. Stop telling them.
When you retell the story of your victimization, you are reinfecting yourself with the virus. You are handing your power back to the person who hurt you. You are keeping them alive in your head. The sovereign has no time for the past because he is too busy building the future. The sovereign looks at a scar and says, "That happened. It is finished. Now what is next?"
Emotional autonomy. What is the ultimate freedom? It is not money. It is not fame. It is emotional autonomy. Emotional autonomy is the ability to regulate your own internal climate regardless of the storms raging outside. Imagine your happiness is a light bulb. For most people, the switch to that light bulb is installed on the outside of their house. Anyone walking by can flip the switch. A rude stranger flips it off. A compliment flips it on. A bad news cycle flips it off. They are constantly flickering. On, off, on, off. They are strobing through life, frantic and unstable. The sovereign moves the switch to the inside of the house. He installs it in the fortress of solitude we built in Chapter 8. Now he decides when the light goes on. If the world is dark, he turns on his light. If the world is chaotic, he turns on his peace. This does not mean he is numb. Sovereignty is not about being a robot. The sovereign feels joy, grief, love, and anger. But he feels them because he chooses to open the door to them, not because they kicked the door down. He owns the house. When you achieve emotional autonomy, you become dangerous to manipulators. A manipulator needs a lever to pull. They need to know that if they press guilt, you will obey. If they press fear, you will comply. When they reach for your levers and find smooth walls, when they press the button and nothing happens, they recoil. They realize they have no power here. You have become unmesswithable.
The quiet confidence. What does a sovereign look like in the real world? He is rarely the loudest person in the room. He does not need to be. Loudness is usually a sign of insecurity. It is a sign of someone trying to prove they exist. Look at me! Validate me! The sovereign has a quiet confidence. It is a heaviness. It is a grounding. Think of a silverback gorilla. He sits quietly. He eats his leaves. He doesn't run around screaming and beating his chest unless it is absolutely necessary. He doesn't have to prove he is the silverback. He just is. When you stop reacting, you develop this presence. You walk slower. You speak slower. You breathe deeper. You don't rush to explain yourself. You don't rush to apologize for taking up space. People feel this. They feel the lack of desperation. Desperation smells. It smells like sweat and fear. It repels people. Sovereignty smells like clean air. It attracts people. In business, the sovereign is the one who can walk away from the deal. In romance, the sovereign is the one who does not need the partner to complete him. In conflict, the sovereign is the one who lowers his voice when everyone else raises theirs. This is the paradox of power. The less you try to force people to respect you, the more they respect you. The chain breaker. Let us raise the stakes. This is not just about you. Most of us are carrying generational baggage. We are acting out scripts written by our parents and their parents before them. Maybe your father had a bad temper. He reacted to stress with screaming. Maybe your mother was passive-aggressive. She reacted to conflict with silence and guilt. You learned these patterns. They were downloaded into your operating system when you were a child. If you do not intervene, if you do not master the art of not reacting, you will pass these patterns to your children. They will scream at them when you are stressed. They will guilt them when you are hurt. You will teach them that love is volatile and that reaction is the only way to survive. You will forge another link in the chain of trauma. Sovereignty is the bolt cutter.
When you choose not to react, when you choose to transmute the anger into fuel, when you choose to act with dignity in the face of chaos, you break the chain. You say, "It stops with me." The anger ran through my family for 5 generations, but it dies in my body. The insecurity ran through my bloodline, but it ends in my mind. You are clearing the field for the next generation. You are giving your children a father or a mother who is a solid rock, not a volcano. This is the greatest legacy you can leave. Not money, not a house, but a pattern of emotional freedom. To be a sovereign is to be a guardian of the future.
The eternal vigilance. Let us raise the stakes. This is not just about you. Most of us are carrying generational baggage. We are acting out scripts written by our parents and their parents before them. Maybe your father had a bad temper. He reacted to stress with screaming. Maybe your mother was passive-aggressive. She reacted to conflict with silence and guilt. You learned these patterns. They were downloaded into your operating system when you were a child. If you do not intervene, if you do not master the art of not reacting, you will pass these patterns to your children. You will scream at them when you are stressed. You will guilt them when you are hurt. You will teach them that love is volatile and that reaction is the only way to survive. You will forge another link in the chain of trauma. Sovereignty is the bolt cutter. When you choose to not react, when you choose to transmute the anger into fuel, when you choose to act with dignity in the face of chaos, you break the chain. You say, "It stops with me." The anger ran through my family for 5 generations, but it dies in my body. The insecurity ran through my bloodline, but it ends in my mind. You are clearing the field for the next generation. You are giving your children a father or a mother who is a solid rock, not a volcano. This is the greatest legacy you can leave. Not money, not a house, but a pattern of emotional freedom. To be a sovereign is to be a guardian of the future.
The view from the top. So, here we are. You have the tools. You know that reaction is a currency. Stop spending it. You know the physiology. Breathe through the adrenaline. You know the gap. Stand in the 3 seconds of freedom. You know the silence. Let it speak for you. You know the alchemy. Turn the rage into gold. You know the fortress. Stay safe inside. You are ready. I want you to imagine your life 1 year from today. Imagine a version of you who has mastered this art. Imagine walking into a crisis and feeling your pulse remain slow. Imagine someone insulting you and you feeling a genuine sense of amusement instead of anger. Imagine your relationships free of drama, filled with respect. Imagine your work fueled by a clean, relentless drive. That version of you is waiting. It is waiting for you to make the choice to stop being a puppet, the choice to cut the strings, the choice to take the crown.
The final decree. The world will try to pull you back. The world wants you reactive. It wants you clicking, screaming, buying, and fighting. The world is designed to keep you asleep. Wake up. You are the sovereign. This is your life. This is your mind. This is your kingdom. Rule it well.